On today's hot sheet, I'm discussing an increase in price drops and answering your questions live. Today is free format Friday, November the 3rd, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Welcome to this free format Friday edition of the hot sheet. Let me know in the live chat as you jump in which market you're tuning in live from. I am back in my Naples, Florida studio after a wild week that was. If you're a residential real estate agent, you certainly know what I'm talking about. After the verdict came down in Kansas City, Missouri, finding realtors and major franchisors liable for 1.8 billion, upwards of $1.8 billion in damages, which will go up to over $5 billion with treble. That happened this week. We also had Zillow buying Follow Up Boss for $500 million. Okay, so Zillow says, hey, while NAR and the franchisors are getting pinched for their cash on hand, we'll go spend $500 million and we'll just buy up best in class Follow Up Boss. And we'll integrate that into our super app. So all of that happening on one side, while on the other side, the market got better this week. The opportunity for home buyers got better this week, despite term uncertainty on if they'll actually have representation in the future. Remember, buyers have representation now. They have great agents just like you, if you're listening to the hot sheet every single morning, working alongside of them now. And as of Monday, they now have a better market than they did on Friday in which to operate with. That's because of what we heard out of Jerome Powell's mouth. It's what we see this morning happening to the 10-year. I'm going to get into all of that here in just a little bit. But first, if you want to know what to do immediately following the aftermath as a real estate agent, grab my 11-point plan down below. It's absolutely free, available to everybody. I have an 11-point plan on how to operate your business moving forward in the aftermath of the class action lawsuit. Obviously, the lawsuit is going to get appealed. I have some questions from the week to address. We'll take calls a little bit later on if you'd like to call in. But grab my 11-point plan. It gives you everything you need to move forward in the aftermath. And for BAMX members, I will be doing a live mastermind today, breaking down the entire plan at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. If you're not a BAMX member, get the most out of everything we do by becoming a BAMX member. Use code HOT down below on the BAMX link. 11-point plan, absolutely free. Grab it. BAMX, 10% off. Use code HOT and you'll get access to that mastermind today. All right, so the market likes, despite everything that's going on, major news, historical, monumental news with lawsuit, with Zillow buying Follow Up Boss. Despite all of that, the market likes what it sees. The market is responding and becoming more affordable this week versus last week for home shoppers. One of the reasons, as reported here by Redfin News, which we will update on Monday when we see Altos. When I look at Altos research, I say, more detail oriented. I say a little bit more specific, more fine tooth comb than Redfin data. And so we're going to see how this compares to what Altos says on Monday when we do our inventory update, as we do every single Monday here on the hot sheet. And we do the price cut update. But Redfin is saying right now that a record share of home sellers have dropped prices as high rates cut into buyer budgets. Okay, so nearly 7% of for sale homes posted a price drop during the 4 weeks ending in October 29th. On average, the highest portion on record. The record comes as these mortgage rates hit their highest level in 23 years, of course. We know that. Prices are still up 3% from a year ago. We know that. Here's a comment here. So, some sellers are pricing too high. Let me know in the comments if you're seeing this in your market. Some sellers are pricing too high because they have FOMO after their neighbor's house sold well over asking price 2 years ago. Okay, while inventory is driving some competition, low inventory and relatively affordable homes in popular neighborhoods are still selling fast. They're getting 2 or 3 offers as opposed to 20 offers with where the mortgage rates are today. Okay, so let me know if you agree with that. Are you seeing sellers price it too high? The fact that we're getting price cuts is good for buyers. The fact that in reaction to Jerome Powell's conference on Wednesday, we broke it all down on yesterday's hot sheet. Every single clip we reacted to when he mentioned housing in his 50-plus minute conference. We find those moments when he talks about housing. We broke it all down on the hot sheet yesterday, so go back and re-listen. These hot sheets are always available on Spotify and Apple. If you'd rather re-listen there, they're available. Love for you to review on those two platforms. But the market has been reacting the last couple of days in a really good way. Just take a look at where the 10-year is today. Remember, this touched 5% for the first time since 2007, just within the last 14 days. We're now under 4.5 as we sit here live time just after 9:30 East Coast here on this Friday. We're at 4.498. It was just at 4.5 plus moments ago. So we have a 10-year which is now being driven down. Information like this that just came out this morning. U.S. payrolls increased by 150,000 in October, but that was less than expected. That's good news for what the Fed does in the future. Non-farm payrolls increased by 150,000 for the month against the consensus forecast of 170,000, right? The Fed doesn't want to see a job market that just is completely ripping out of control. The economy and the GDP have been stunting what the Fed is trying to do to get inflation down to 2%. So this is a sharp decline from the gain of 297,000 in September. Good news. The unemployment rate rose to 3.9% in the highest level since January 2022, amid a sharp decline in household employment. This, while it sounds like bad news, is actually good news for the fight against inflation. This is data that would support another pause, another stay firm for the Fed interest rate when they meet in December. Obviously, we're 6 weeks away. A lot can happen between now and then. We've got CPI reports that come out from that standpoint, but we'll continue to monitor it. And this would be another bit of evidence for the Fed in December to say, you know what, we're going to pause. Or maybe we get to a point where they start cutting. I don't think we're there yet. Nobody's projecting that. Most of the projections we have is for cuts coming in, the end of 2024. So that is just me being very hopeful and trying to play off of some of the good news that we've had this week. Okay. Monthly job creation in the US, January 2022 through October 2023, you do now see a consistent downward trend of job creation. Typically, in an economy, you want to see job creation. The issue with where we are on low unemployment and when we had more jobs than people ready to fill them was that you do have this worry that inflation could run off again. So stocks are up right now here as we enter this free format Friday in the Dow, in the S&P, in the NASDAQ. Across the board, stocks are up. The 10-year is down. Okay, the jobs coming in less than anticipated. These are all good signals, and home buyers this weekend should rejoice because coming off of the good news that we had yesterday, look at what's going on with the 30-year fixed. Look at that straight blue line down. For the first time in a long time, we actually had a 30-year fixed come in at 7.51. We're back to 7.5. We were just at an 8 handle recently. Even the 30-year fixed weekly Freddie Mac 30-year fixed came down to 7.76. That should, if this trend continues into early next week, that trend should come down again next week. So the market is liking it. Redfin reporting, we've seen a record amount of price cut drops. We're going to update that on Monday, of course. Jobs coming in less than expected. Great news. 10-year down. Great news. 30-year fixed at 7.5. We could head into the weekend here less than 7.5. I'd be today on the phone as a residential real estate agent, adding value to my clients, letting them know if they're a buyer, hey, you got 0.5% from where we started the week until today. I'd have my lender on speed dial today. Hey, bro, don't Hey, sister, don't let your phone out of your sight. I need you close to me right now. We need to be having constant communication because I'm going to be ripping through the folks that need to know this information right now. I'm going to be sending them the opportunities for the weekend. And if there's an opportunity for us to lock in on a low 7 today, as opposed to just a week ago, 8 plus, let's go ahead and make that happen for these home buyers. This is really good news. All right, now it is a free format Friday, so I want to address some of your questions through the crazy week that was. Bobby, I do see a question here. I'll go ahead and get this to where I can see this. Have you heard Redfin recruiting agents in San Francisco and LA in typical brokerage split arrangement? Yes, that news came out, basically giving, instead of just the employment feature, they're going and giving some more upside to the W-2 salaries, or they have the option to go into exactly what you just said, this typical brokerage split arrangement. Reason for that is Redfin has never been able to crack market share in any luxury market. And so how do you get the best agents? Well, you get the best agents in a luxury market by providing luxury tools. Number one, having a brand that resonates in that market. San Francisco and LA are very high priced markets. The brand Redfin, coming out in their own words as really, I'm not going to use the word discount, but the underpriced option. Homeowners and home buyers and home sellers in those markets might look at them as like, okay, well, that's not really with where my price is, where I want to go. And so now they're trying to change the story, change the narrative. And you do that by getting in those historical, great luxury agents. How do you get them? We have a comp plan that works for them. You give them the tools and the branding that works for them. I don't think this will be enough, just changing commission split. Redfin would really have to resonate with these luxury markets, and luxury sellers would have to feel like that brand behind the agent, is bringing value associated with the high price sale of their home. Luxury in every single market is different, of course. Luxury could be 600,000 in your market, where it could be 6 million in another market. Okay. So let's go to some of the questions we've had. Okay, here we go with this one. If NAR is decoupled from the MLS, what would the new criteria be for people that can acquire MLS access? Would it just be a real estate license? The MLSs would be able to, make that criteria. The MLSs right now, oftentimes in many locations, have a criteria built in about being a part of a local board, and the local board ties you into NAR. These tie-in agreements, I think, are way more illegal than any, perceived conspiracy of real estate commissions. But that's a whole nother subject there. The MLS would lay out that criteria. What would that look like? That remains to be seen. What we know about the verdict that happened in Kansas City, Missouri, is that there will be appeals. That NAR and many others have said this is going to now take years for finality. Okay, so while Michael Ketchmark, the attorney for the plaintiffs, has said this was a glorious day, this was a big win, and it was a big win and a big feather in his cap for his career for sure. I don't know if it's a big win for the people he was representing, the home sellers of Missouri, but it was certainly a big win for his career. And, when you listen to his quotes, you would think, okay, it's all over. But when you look at the legalities and the system that is available to NAR and the appeal process, there is going to be a much longer run here until we have a final answer. And so throughout that time, it's going to be interesting to see, do some MLSs just like sit back and wait? The longer they wait now to make change, do they leave themselves open for potential litigation into the future on some of these things? Because MLSs haven't actually been brought into this yet. Could that happen? Do they go ahead, try to get ahead of that, make some changes? But ultimately, the MLSs are going to be the ones, per your question, that are able to make this criteria. MLSs, there was over 1,000 MLSs probably just maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now there's, I believe, around 500 or maybe just under 500, it might be just over, but you've had MLSs um, consolidate throughout the country. So you've have MLSs that are going to continue. You will have MLSs that are going to continue to consolidate. If I'm going to predict one thing about what MLSs are going to be doing over the next, um, couple of years, there's going to be more consolidation. Bigger MLSs getting bigger. Okay, I know that's a theme in America. Big business usually gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You're going to see big MLS get bigger and bigger and bigger because they're going to find that if you're a little MLS, man, I'm vulnerable. I could be put out of business with one of these lawsuits very easily. You're going to see more consolidation in the MLS. So if you're in a state right now where you're subscribed to 2 or 3 MLSs, I would imagine that you might be down to one in your marketplace. Give it 24 months. Okay. So NYC Real Estate Captured by Real New Yorker asks, what are your thoughts on the removal of the seller's $500 credit to not complete the property disclosure form? What are your thoughts on the removal of the seller's $500 credit? I'm not familiar with this. So if you'd like to call in 203-548-0417, walk me through the question. I understand what you're saying. There's a $500 credit that goes to the seller, or I'm sorry, that the seller has to pay that goes to the buyer when they don't fill out the disclosure form. There are some exemptions, obviously, for sellers to not fill out the disclosure form. And it might change in different states, but I know in a lot of states, the exemption would be if this is an estate sale. But what you're particularly talking about, call in at 203-548-0417. We can work through it. How do you think the brands and agents are impacted differently based on which settled ReMax Anywhere and the ones that didn't? So I saw an argument that some agents may be going over to ReMax and Anywhere because they're in the clear. Meaning, okay, I was thinking about going over to, here's a scenario. I'm at KW. I was thinking about going to ReMax, and it was kind of like a 50-50 thing. I don't know, that there's a lot of stuff I like over there, but there's a lot of stuff I like where I'm at. Well, maybe now that pushed that agent over the edge to go to ReMax because their settlement as proposed protects them from the Kansas City, Missouri lawsuit that just happened. It protects them from the Illinois lawsuit. It protects them from the MLS PIN one up in Massachusetts and future lawsuits like the one filed just the other day after the Missouri verdict, the national lawsuit. Okay, so I think the brands like ReMax and Anywhere that took this settlement for $55 million, ReMax $83.5 million, Anywhere, now look really smart. Okay, in the beginning, I had a lot of questions. Why would you settle? This seems very winnable. They obviously felt differently. Maybe they were looking at NAR's planned defense and they said, this isn't going to work. Maybe they saw it ahead of everybody else and they said, you know what? NAR is incompetent in their ability to defend the realtor position. We're going to get out now. We're going to get out on the cheap. Remember, Michael Ketchmark said, hey, these numbers looked small, 55 million, 83.5 million compared to 1.8 billion. And Michael Ketchmark, the attorney for the plaintiff, said, we're not looking to bankrupt anyone. Well, the number 1.8 billion with treble 5 billion, Illinois could be bigger. The national one even bigger. You're talking 100 billion. Oh, these numbers would bankrupt NAR. So in the future of this appeal, be thinking that there will be future settlements because the plaintiff's attorney's goal is not to bankrupt these companies, because if they file bankruptcy, that could be a play not to pay. Okay, so Ketchmark's goal here is to get as much money as possible. Okay, can NAR afford $2 billion? Well, if they assess their members, they certainly can. They have $1 billion in assets. Let's go get that money. He wants to get paid. Trust me. And so the 55 and the 83.5 million was all he could get out of ReMax and Anywhere. That shows you how vulnerable the balance sheets are of the biggest brokerages in our country. Okay. ReMax has like a market cap of like $250 million. It's not very big. Zillow's market cap is 10 billion. It shows you how much more valuable that brand is than some of the franchisors that you've known to love and appreciate over the years. So they're in a really tough spot. This is why I will say this. Agents that think splits are going to keep going up, agents that are split chasing, oh, I'm going to move over here, I'm going to get another 5%, I'm going to get 5%, eventually I'm going to have 100% of the split. Splits are going down over the next 2 to 5 years from brokerages. They're all going to have less money. They're all going to be open to more of these lawsuits. If they want to stay in business, the profitable companies, the smart companies, whether, well, I have a cap, I have this, you're just going to have more fees then. Fees are going to increase, splits are going to go down across the board because the companies that survive are just going to have to do that. So anyways, I think ReMax right now and Anywhere in the short term look like big winners in their decision to settle. Do I think Zillow will decouple from local associations and roll out a product aimed at agents paying to list houses on Zillow platform? Not according to their earnings report the other day, not according to how they're building their business right now internally. So I don't see any signs of this happening. I don't believe it's going to happen anytime soon. Not saying that it could never happen. I'm saying, right now, over the next couple of years, which is about as far out as I can really see, the answer to that would be no. Zillow's going to do a wait and see. Zillow's proud of themselves not being named in any of these lawsuits. I wouldn't beat that drum too loudly. Maybe Catchmark. Remember, they have a $10 billion market cap. Maybe Catchmark hasn't named Zillow for a reason. Maybe he doesn't want a competent attorney in the room. Do you think Zillow would put together the best thing for the industry? Might be if Michael Catchmark put Zillow on the lawsuit, because they're going to tell NAR's attorney, step aside, little boy. We'll take it from here. Honestly, Zillow could be the ones that save buyer agency because their business model is built on it. And Zillow, so Rich Barton, we covered it. I think it was yesterday I think it was yesterday on the hot sheet when we covered Zillow's earning report. You can go back and listen to that. But Rich Barton said, we need full transparency. That's what their number one thing is for consumers, but we need agents and buyers need agents. And so this is what they're saying, but their actions also support that in the way that they are delivering these leads right now through their Premier Agent program. And Tim, if you want to come back next Friday on free format when we take calls, I'll be coming out of a Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas, Monday and Tuesday of this week. I'm going to be going to Zillow Unlock, where they invite just their top, premier partners. And I'm going to be seeing what they have to say about the future. So I guess more to come on that. Heather says, just curious if you think agents need to be more diligent about educating the consumer on the value we bring and about how commissions work. It seems we've done a poor job as an industry. Absolutely. This is where I would align with Zillow. Full transparency. Who are you paying? What are you paying them? This goes down to referral fee as well. If you're paying out a referral fee or if you're collecting a referral fee, the consumer should know, where the money is going that they're paying. So you need to be very diligent. You need to be educating. I have an 11-point plan down below. It's absolutely free. You can grab the 11-point plan on next steps on what you should be doing right now, how you should be thinking about this. And for BAMX members today at 3:00 Eastern, I'm going to be doing a live mastermind going through each and every single scenario. And so if you're not a BAMX member, use code HOT to get 10% off and join us at 3 o'clock Eastern there. The education and the diligence has got to go up, and that's going to take somebody who is all in on their business each and every single day. As a part of our business plan, we are working toward being a Zillow Premiere partner. Seems like a long-term good idea. Okay. Jennifer and Michelle from MKE Real Estate. So there's two ways to be a Zillow Premier partner. There's still market-based pricing out there, which is where you buy leads directly from them. And then there is their, Premier Partner program, formerly called Zillow Flex, where you're paying a referral fee. That referral fee goes up to 40% on January 1. So it's a good long-term idea if, as you accumulate these leads from Zillow, you are going to now have a true client relationship with them, not a past transaction relationship with them, where when they have a referral, when they have a future transaction need, they think of you first versus going back into Zillow first. That's where you're going to get real long-term value, because the upfront 40% referral fee, maybe the agent's making 25%, and the team or the back end is in brokerage and all that is making 30 or 35%. Maybe it's split 30. However you're going to do that, those numbers are compressed for everybody except Zillow making 40, and they're not going out and working hand in hand with the client. Okay. And those numbers we've seen relocation go up as high as 48. So the numbers could even go up. Okay. Where Zillow works is lifetime value of a customer. How many transactions am I going to do? How many referrals am I going to do from this one customer? That's where it makes a lot of sense. There's going to be two camps of buyer agents in the future. Those that are only doing the deals through the major portals. Okay. And 40% of the money is going to go to them every single time. And then there's the camp that's able to take what they've gotten from the portals and from the brand that they've built in the community and get people to come direct to them. And so there's two ways to build a brand. You build a brand in the community through contacts, through content, through these types of different ways, or you can build a brand by having enough transactions. And when you say this is a good long-term plan, can you have enough transactions through Zillow or Realtor.com or other portals where you have a true database that believes in you, that loves the service that you provide, that comes to you automatically? Let's go rapid fire here, Bobby, on some more questions. I know we had some from earlier in the week I can address as well. If you want to post those, I'd be happy to jump into those, but let's go rapid fire here before I got to jump in and record Knowledge Brokers podcast. Okay, Zillow has sticking with Zillow here. Zillow big in the news here, big week after they bought Follow Up Boss. Zillow has the transaction platform. They've got Dotloop. That's the transaction platform. Title company, mortgage company up 88%. I believe the number was when we did the earnings report here on the hot sheet year over year. Buyers looking for homes. Obviously they've always had that. And Zillow is a broker in all states. Could they take the buyers? They could take the buyers, ? Ruthie asks. They absolutely could. This is what Michael Ketchmark's dream is, the lead attorney for the plaintiffs, when he said, let's turn buyers back over to technology and the internet. His dream is that every buyer just works through Zillow. Zillow, I mean, think about this. If they're getting 40% of the transaction, and that starts on January 1st, they've been getting 35%. Why in the world would they want to become a brokerage? Their margin is bigger than the brokerages. A brokerage, a traditional brokerage model, is looking for about 15% margin. Okay. 20%, they'd be great. You're going to see some independents go higher. I would probably put them in the team rich category. Teams are going to look for a higher margin, obviously. But your traditional brokerage model out there is trying to stay at or above, in a great year, 15% margin. Zillow's getting 40% of the referral fee. And now they're coupling mortgage onto that. If they can keep this going where they don't have to actually you're not employing 1099s, but where you don't have to hold everybody's license. They already have the buyers. That's the point. And this is the whole point about the fear with Dotloop. Well, I'm worried about my data. Zillow already has your client's data. No, I have it in Follow Up Boss. No, you don't think your buyer that you got from Realtor.com has ever visited Zillow? All your data Zillow already has. They have the most data. They have the most buyer traffic. So they already have access to the buyers. The game is like we talked about with Jennifer and Michelle. If you're working on those leads, is to create long-term lifetime value. Who are they going to transact with and refer to over the next 20 years on the next 6 or 7 deals? Is it going to be direct to you because your brand and your service is significant enough? Or is they going to go back to the super app? That's just the question. Let's go rapid fire here, Bobby. A couple more. Do you think it would be a smart idea to offer different packages at different listing percentage to improve clarity to the consumer? 1000%, Jacob. This is something that I talk about in the 11-point plan. Options. You should have multiple options tiered on what you're going to provide from a listing perspective. I'm listing your home at this percentage. It gets this. This is what I'm paying the buyer broker. If I'm paying the buyer broker, or fill in the blank, do you want to pay the buyer broker anything out of this? You could do it one of two ways. You could say, hey, I'm charging 8%. I'm paying the buyer broker 3%. For 5%, I'm doing this. This is my high end offering. Or I'm just throwing numbers out there. These are not, Michael Ketchmark. If he hears 8%, he might have to stain his pants if he hears that number. But there are agents across the country, Michael Ketchmark, that get above the 6% because they're offering more value. Maybe I'm doing 8. I have a package of 6, maybe a package of 5, maybe a package of 4. I have all these different packages. Here's another option you could do. You could list the home for sale by owner. Here's another option you could do. You could sell your home directly to Open Door. Lay out all of the different options. Here are 6 options that you can do in our marketplace. Here are the 4 that I provide, and here are the other 2. When you want to gain and build trust in a listing presentation, and you say, here's what I can do. If this isn't for you, here's how you list your home for sale by owner. Maybe even have a sheet of helpful notes of how to go for sale by owner. That seller's like, whoa, the transparency on this guy, man, she really cares about us. She's giving us information and do it on her own. If they've got you in their living room, guess what? They don't want to do it on their own. They're busy. What do you got in November? You got a lot of holidays at the end of the year. People are busy. Life is busy. They don't want to listen on their own. So the more opportunities, offers, options you can give them with extreme clarity underneath each option is how you're going to build that trust instantly.
We are good on questions, Byron. You covered the other ones that people sent in the current questions.
Okay. I covered the ones. That one from Paul. Post the one from Paul. Has there ever been a conversation on brokerage agent splits being? So we had a question earlier in the week. Has there ever been a conversation on brokerage agent splits being collusion among brokerages, along with requirement for agents to associate with the brokerages? The way I take this, do not, first of all, do not think this way, okay? Because now you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. The way I take this is, hey, I'm interviewing with brokerages here in my market, and they're all offering me the same split. Are these brokers colluding on my split? Now, who do you sound like? You see what I'm saying there? Everybody's offering me the same split. I want more. When in reality, it's the same conversation as the other foot. There are multiple options. If you're a high producer, you get a higher split. If you're brand new, you're going to get a lower split. But you could, even at brand new, go to 100% company. There's a lot of 100% companies that are available where you pay a fee. There's cap companies. Okay, there's Redfin option where you become an employee. There's the option to become a broker and pay everything and have every single, hey, independent brokers right now, how are they feeling? Without massive protection for lawsuits coming their way? You want to take that risk? That's an option. You have endless options to be able to negotiate how you're going to collect your commission. Your value is important in able to get what you want. Okay. Do you have value as a broker, or are you just being a broker, a solo broker, and you're like, I'm not worried about litigation and all this stuff, and you're just doing it because you're cheap and you're worried about every penny? Or maybe you have extreme value to the marketplace and you've got this great independent brand and you're like able to attract great agents and you can offer something very unique and you know the rules inside and out and you're following, right? There's so many different ways for you to do it. To say that brokers are colluding to have similar commission splits, now you sound like Michael Ketchmark and those folks in Kansas City that I don't agree with, but those folks, same folks that NAR couldn't defeat because of their inability to relate to everyday people. It's been a crazy week. Again, the 11-point plan is down below on how to move forward this week. I'm going to be doing a live mastermind inside of BAMX today at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock on the West Coast. Use code HOT to get 10% off of BAMX and join me for the 11-point plan discussion on how to move forward. We're going to go a lot deeper. If you're new to the Hot Sheet BAM channel here, we go Hot Sheet every single Monday through Friday that the markets are open. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell here on BAM YouTube. We do this each and every single day. We have downloads for BAMX members from the show every single day, charts, so that you can go into these conversations each and every day, each and every weekend, each and every night, and have the information to connect with consumers, to be able to bring them fresh, relevant information, stories, experience. Experience comes from constant contact in the business, constant contact of training, of knowing what's going on in the macro economy, relating it to the micro. It's what we do here every day on the Hot Sheet. It's why we started the Hot Sheet back in January. No legacy media company could even get out of bed and keep up with us on this stuff. We're appreciative of you being here with us each and every single day. I can't wait to see you guys back on Monday morning. Myself and Tom Toole about to record at Knowledge Brokers Podcast, different channel. If you go to the channels tab here on YouTube, you can find the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. Subscribe to that. That'll be up at 2 p.m. We're going to be getting Tom's reactions on everything that was a week. Love you guys. Let's have a great weekend. It's 7.5% world, baby. It's not 8 anymore. Let's go. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, toodaloo.